Foodborne illness wreaking havoc.
We believe this is a norovirus outbreak.
After 80 employees got sick at St. Vincent Healthcare, we learned the virus may actually be spreading. And inside the Billings Clinic, troubles.
Billings Clinic's a big organization, and it takes time to turn the ship.
We hear from the hospital for the first time following the announcement of major pay cuts, and we check in on the work to become financially stable. Also, a growing crisis.
There are people who are suffering from mental health issues, trying to get them the help that they need.
We'll get a unique look on mental health issues as they plague our own town. The MTN News starts right now.
From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 10 o'clock news.
Well, good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Russ Riesinger. A foodborne illness that sickened dozens of employees at St. Vincent Healthcare last week is now being linked to a popular Billings bakery. And tonight we're learning there may be many more victims. Our Charlie Kleps has been on the case and has the latest.
We're now learning that the people at St. Vincent's Healthcare weren't the only ones that became ill last week. Homefront Billings, the city's housing authority, had a gathering here at the Billings Public Library last Wednesday, and they say several people ended up ill. Both this event and the one at St. Vincent's were catered by Great Harvest Bread Company on Poly Drive. It's been a hectic few days for Clark Snyder and his team of investigators at Riverstone Health.
Last Friday, May 12th, in the morning time, we got a report from St. Vincent's indicating that they had several staff sick from a meal that was catered by Great Harvest on Poly.
Snyder and his team have been looking into the situation here at Great Harvest Bread Company on Poly Drive, where many people are saying a foodborne illness outbreak began.
We have not found a source that indicates that it came from Great Harvest, but we are continue to do an investigation.
According to Snyder, nothing in their investigation directly puts Great Harvest at fault, although two separate events with food catered by the bakery are now linked to people experiencing symptoms.
Right now, we're trying to mitigate any further illness throughout our community.
Snyder says the number of infected currently sits at about 100 and that his team believes it's norovirus, a contagious virus that begins in food.
Norovirus, can be indirectly spread through food, surfaces. It can even go airborne. It can be transferred through water. It's just a highly contagious virus. So people need to take it seriously and take all the precautions that they can.
MTN did contact the manager at this Great Harvest location, who is emotional about the situation and wasn't up for an interview just yet. But the restaurant did release a statement on their Facebook page saying, quote, "As you can imagine, we are devastated by this and praying that the cause is not linked to our product. In 18 years of business, we have never had a single report of sickness and are extremely saddened to hear that this has happened. The restaurant has remained open, but any food that was involved in the catering incidents are not allowed to be served to the public, and a deep clean has been suggested by Snyder and his team at Riverstone Health." In Billings, Charlie Kleps, MTN News.
Well, as Charlie just mentioned, these new norovirus cases could lead to community spread, and it's happening at a time when much of the state is already seeing high to critical activity when it comes to the stomach bug. Take a look at this map. You can see from all the red, the western half of Montana seeing a spike in cases, and nationally, it's been an especially active year for norovirus. In February, the CDC said rates of the virus were at a 12-month high, with cases up 66% from 1 year ago. Norovirus rates typically peak in the winter, and the virus is the leading cause of foodborne illness in the country. Tonight, a look at the financial crisis at the Billings Clinic. For the first time since announcing massive budget cuts 2 months ago, newly named CEO Clint Seeger is putting it into perspective. Andrea Lutz sat down with Seeger this afternoon, and no question was off the table as he discussed the state of the hospital, the culture, and how those financial cuts are working to even out a critical budget shortfall.
For the first time since announcing major budget cuts internally, CEO Clint Seeger is addressing the state of Billings Clinic publicly.
Billings Clinic's a big organization, and it takes time to turn the ship.
Back in April, Montana's largest hospital announced major cuts, hoping to save the hospital as much as $4.5 million a month. Those reductions, including everything from across-the-board salary cuts of up to 5% for doctors, to the suspension of some employee retirement plans, to a halt on capital projects, and a 10% pay cut for executives.
Talk to me a little bit about the culture right now at Billings Clinic.
The culture and some of the challenges across the country in healthcare it's a tough time.
A tough time not just for Billings Clinic, for the healthcare industry too, with the cost of doing business going up.
Traveling nurses, locums, traveling tech positions, I think they're more than 50% higher than they were back in 2019.
Seeger says the cuts have led to additional employees leaving the hospital, but says so far the cuts are working.
As we make some of the operational changes, we are seeing that shift towards a little better. For the month of April, for example, we saw about a $1.5 million shift to the better.
Billings Clinic denied to comment on the budget shortfall for months, putting into question a merger with Kalispell's Logan Health and the hospital's mission to become Montana's first level 1 trauma center. Do you think that it looks good to the public to be doing all of those things while you guys are trying to cut costs?
The partnership with Logan Health, which that is separate from our financial performance and what we need to do there. You know, our journey on level 1 trauma, that is, we've been on that for years.
Still, all the while, Seeger says patient access is his top concern. Back in August when you took over, you had said specifically that you want a better patient access. Do you feel like you've done that?
You know, we've done a lot of work around phone access, around access to just getting into our clinics and accessing our providers. I do believe that we've made a lot of improvement. I think that it's something that we need to continue to work on.
And that's just a portion of Andrea's interview with CEO Clint Seeger. You can watch the entire 30-minute conversation right now on our Q2 streaming app. Smoke from distant fires could soon be showing up here in our area. More than 100 wildfires have raged so far this month in the Canadian province of Alberta, forcing 30,000 people out of their homes and halting oil production. Hot and dry conditions are to blame. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau met with Canadian soldiers fighting those fires near Edmonton today, with more troops expected to join the fight in coming days.
Here's where the smoke from those wildfires are on our computer analysis here. Here's Edmonton, and then the dark red shaded areas show where that smoke could be pushed down towards our area, especially as we start getting into the next several days. Right now, it's a little unclear about exactly how much smoke we might get and if it will really affect anything more than a haze in the sky or if it could affect air quality as well. We'll see how it shapes up. But at the same time that we're seeing that, we're also seeing those isolated storms this evening fade out. This cold front is what's going to drive shower and thunderstorm activity down. It also brings some of that smoky haze along with it. It'll create a few storms as we start getting into Wednesday morning, and then slightly cooler temperatures. We're going to break down the rest of the forecast details for you in just a few minutes.
It's becoming a common problem throughout Billings, and now it's struck the heights. Over the weekend, almost a half dozen areas, including Lake Elmo and the City Church of Billings, were vandalized with graffiti. Vandals sprayed a trail of graffiti alongside Lake Elmo Drive, targeting multiple places along the way. Billings resident Adam Hummel noticed the graffiti and immediately sent photos to code enforcement. According to Hummel, he'd like to see this trend come to an end sooner than later.
If you see it, report it, and then we can have it addressed. And don't let these kind of things linger, because the longer they linger, the more we'll see of it.
Now, code enforcement officials did go out to Lake Elmo Drive today to look at all the areas that were tagged. The boys of summer are back in town. The Billings Mustangs open their season just over a week from now, but they were already sharpening their skills tonight, except for this time it was away from dealer as the players literally took themselves back to their Little League days. David J. has tonight's Positively Montana story.
Positively Montana is sponsored by Yellowstone Valley Electric Cooperative.
The first two Mustangs arrived in Billings on Sunday night in time for spring training this week, and on Monday night took the field with some of the players from Eagle Mount. It's an opportunity for all of them to come out here and enjoy the traditions and camaraderie of baseball. The venue for this game, Landon's Miracle Field.
Let the games begin!
It's the blue team or Cupcakes versus the red team, 25 players.
With the way that this field is set up, we're able to have our wheelchair users come out and actually participate with us as well. So this really allows for our whole 25 participants to come out and play together.
The Eagle Mount players get together on Monday nights to work on many things, including socialization and communication. And baseball is a special night.
It can be a sport, but it could also just be a recreational hobby, fishing, things like that. And so we really just focus on getting people back into doing sports or things that they might not think that they could.
The Mustangs players, number 52, Keegan McGinnis, and number 30, Nate Jenkins, both right-handed pitchers, like meeting the people at their new home for the baseball season. For the Cupcakes and the Red Team, it's a thrill to be on the field with professional baseball players.
Why is this fun tonight, to be able to play baseball with your friends?
Because they're teaching us how to play baseball.
And I'm here with Keegan here. He's right here, everybody.
Excited to be here, really excited for a great season in Billings. I love the game so much, and just to be able to share that with the community it's a blessing. So I'm very grateful to be here. I know Nate is as well, another one of the Billings players, so great opportunity.
So for you, baseball is really family too.
Yes. I take it at night with my friends.
There's a lot of parallels, with life that the game teaches you that maybe aren't as apparent in just day-to-day life. And I think gratitude. I mean, not a lot of people get to play at the age I get to do or at the level I get to do. And just to have the opportunities, I feel extremely lucky.
We really are kind of one big family.
In Billings, David J., MTN News.
The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has 179 temples operating across the world, including one right here in Billings. And that temple was the only one in Montana until now. One of the religion's newest temples is in Helena, and today it opened to the community. The temple is about 7 stories high, including the spire, and almost 9,800 square feet. There are also little details that reflect the temple's location, like the Montana Buttercup featured in the stained glass windows throughout the building. Also a large painting of a mountain landscape. With 51,000 church members here in Montana, the second temple is very welcome.
I just love being on the temple grounds too. So if I'm like having a bad day or just want to come see the temple, I can just drive over.
Helena's temple is set to be dedicated on June 18th, and at that time it will be closed to non-members. Well, still to come on the MTN 10 o'clock news here on Q2. It's an everyday problem, but one with limited solutions. We'll take you inside the mental health issues as they happen on our streets. And in sports, we'll meet a golden bear with one very unique skill, and now he's vying for Athlete of the Year. We'll be right back.